Hey now, cats, we're back again this week, and all I have to say is today is Halloween, so happy Halloweeny!
This is Halloween.
This is Halloween.
Halloween.
But anywho, cats, we have a humongous show to get to today. Xtina, this is Xtina. If you're just first tuning in, I'm Balls. Welcome to the show. If it's your first time or your 500th time, we surely appreciate your peepers. So, that being said, we do a show every week about things we're passionate about. Ska, punk, true crime. She has a little segment called Xtina's Depravity Corner, where she tells the most messed up true crime story of the week. We talk to actors, musicians we like. We do all kinds of shit. So let's just get right to it. I'm going to start the show off with some reviews of movies we have seen recently that I guess you'll see whether we like them or not. But digging right in, I actually watched a film. Xtina, I don't think got to see this with me, but I watched an anthology on Shudder called The Mortuary Chronicles. I thought it was pretty good. I love, anthologies. And you don't see too many nowadays. And it kind of had something for everybody. You had monsters, you had all kinds of it was just a really good anthology for this time of year. So I enjoyed it. I would probably revisit it again. I liked it a lot. Barry Bostwick was a creepy Undertaker, and he was kind of the catalyst for all the stories, the wraparound story. But I give it 5 skulls. I thought it was really good.
5 skulls, wow.
I didn't think there was a bad story in it. Like, every story was pretty interesting, and like I said, it covered all bases. It was a spot. I probably end up watching it every Halloween, like I do Trick or Treat, Black Sabbath, Creepshow, and all the other anthologies I like. But let's get into something we both watched, and I'm going to let you talk about it. We watched Unhinged, and what did you think of that?
Holy smokes, that is a great movie. And it's terrifying and scary in ways that are unlike most horror movies. I guess you would consider this a thriller, but it is like, rather than like a goblin trying to, stab you, this is like real life insanity. Russell Crowe, he plays himself, so there's not much of a stretch there acting wise. He plays a psycho. And
yeah, there's very little acting involved.
Yeah, and he also looks like John Goodman these days.
Yeah, he's sweating gravy. Oh man.
Yeah, but if you want to be scared by some Russell Crowe, man, this is it for you, man. It's scary. I mean, without giving too much of the movie away, I mean, he basically is. This guy who, he has a lot of issues, let's just say. And he, basically starts some crap with a random stranger on the highway, and wackiness ensues. And boy, is it wacky.
I have to say, after this movie, you'll think twice about fucking with anybody on the freeway.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because you never know who's in that other car. And
That's
I have
right.
to say...
I posted about it on Facebook, and one of my friends said, yeah, I loved it. It was great. It's going to teach basic manners.
You know what? It's true, though. I mean, I have to say, there's a lot of that to begin with, road rage. And, I think everybody's a victim of that at some point, if not... a proprietor of it. But I got to say, next time I get hot under the collar, I'm probably going to think about Russell Crowe and be like,
twice.
You know what? It's not so much. It's not worth it. So.
Exactly.
But yeah, I got to say, it doesn't waste any time.
No.
It's like a bullet train almost immediately, and it's pretty exciting all the way to the end. So I got to say, I never thought I'd say this, but it's one of the better things I've seen this year.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually really... pretty exciting. It's a thriller that actually is thrilling, which most of the
exactly.
They call things thrillers, and then it's really
kind
not
of
all that
flat.
But this one,
no, not this.
This had me and her to the end, man. We're like, ooh, but super cool. Moving right along though, another thing that happened today that I'm excited. Everybody knows, if you know Balls, I'm a sucker for Nicolas Cage. I know a lot of people don't dig him. I personally love Nicolas Cage, and I've been waiting for a long time. He's been doing this movie. And it's been uncertain as to when it's coming out, and it's more or less I guess a rip-off of Five Nights at Freddy's. But he's stuck. He's a janitor. He's stuck in this kind of Chuck E. Cheese kind of place, and all the animatronic things come to life and try to kill him, and it's called Wally's Wonderland. I've been waiting for that to come out because Nicolas Cage versus animatronic evil demonic creature sounds awesome to me. So they finally dropped the trailer date. It's coming out in 2021, I think the first quarter. But they dropped the first teaser trailer, and I have to say, I think it's going to be pretty cool. So if you get a chance, check that out. Some other interesting news I heard. I love Wes Craven. Everybody loves Wes Craven. You know, Nightmare on Elm Street. He's did a ton of stuff. But, you know, I actually read today that Jordan Peele, you know, of Get Out and Us fame, is actually producing a new take on Wes Craven's The People Under the Stairs for Universal. So I think that's pretty interesting. I mean, I don't think he's going to direct it, but I think he's either going to... He might have a hand in writing it, and he's definitely producing it. So I think interesting. You know, most of the time when I hear about a remake, I'm kind of negative, but I think that could be kind of cool. I mean, that's a movie that I think... it's still really good, but I think, you know, you could still do other things with it. So I think that's pretty cool. Other news that I've read that actually... I'm still on the fence with this one. I'm going to ask you. That's why I never told you about it. I want to see your reaction. I don't know how I feel about it. There's been so many... You know, we just got married in the Night of the Living Dead Cemetery in Evan City.
We did.
There's already been 5 remakes of Night of the Living Dead. They're doing another one with Vivica A. Fox. She was in Kill Bill. I don't know how I feel about that.
No.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, do we really need another remake of Night of the Living Dead?
We do not.
I mean, this era where zombie films are so oversaturated.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It better be really something special to get my attention, because I have to say, I actually love the Savini remake, and that's really the only other remake of Night of the Living Dead I like. Everything
now,
else...
do we know who's directing this? Or
not as of yet. But, yeah, the only thing I know is Vivica A. Fox. But the thing that actually did pique my interest was they did a remake, this company that's producing this and putting this out and funding it. They did a remake of I Spit on Your Grave, and I thought that would suck. But I have to say, it's one of those rare ones where I think it's almost as good, if not better, than the original. So that kind of gives me hope. It might, you never know, they might breathe some new life into it. It might be cool, because they got me on the I Spit on Your Grave remake, and I thought that was a terrible idea, and they proved me wrong. It was really good. So... Hopefully, I'll keep our fingers crossed. Other thing I found very exciting. I hate that they keep teasing us, though, now, because it's still a whole year away because of Corona. They just dropped some new footage from Halloween Kills, which doesn't come out till Halloween of next year.
Yeah, Jesus.
And they keep teasing me, and they showed that this new footage is awesome. Like, if you go and you look, it's only 45 seconds, but they show you some really cool stuff. So, and all that makes me go is... it's another fucking year away.
Yeah.
Like, seriously? So other than that, I wanted to talk about last night. You know, Xtina and I hung out, and I have to say, I wanted to give some shout-outs to the Aquabats. They put on a cool little Halloween party. It was a virtual concert, and, you know, in this age of, you know, you can't go out and you can't be in person with anybody, you can't go to any concerts.
Yeah, it stinks.
These are the only things that's really keeping us as music fans and concert fans going, is these little virtual concerts from people that we like, and you know, it was fun, a lot of fun. So
it's just not the same.
It's never going to be the same, but I mean, it's something. So I'd rather have something than nothing.
True.
So, another thing that I thought you can talk about that we enjoyed was we also got to watch over the weekend the Creepshow animated special, and I thought it was phenomenal. Did you like it?
Excellent. Yeah, the animation was incredible. The stories were incredible.
There was 2 stories. One was Stephen King's story, and the other one was Joe Hill, which everyone knows is Stephen King's son. And I don't, not to give too much away, but I think it was cool that they had them paired together. For when you watch it, you'll understand why. She was picking out little things, intricate things I would have never even noticed. And then there's these little in-jokes. Just keep an eye out for those, and they were really, really funny. But, yeah, like Xtina said, the animation was great. It was really 2 gritty stories. Like, I didn't think animation, can have nearly as big an impact as film. But it did. Like, it didn't really make much of a difference. I felt like I was watching a regular episode. So, and it's gritty. Like, this one's pretty gritty. Like, I was surprised they got away with some of the stuff they did. It's pretty. Plus, you have Kiefer Sutherland was a guest voice. What was her name? Zoe Bell, was that it?
Zoe King.
Zoe King.
Joey King.
Joey King. She was the other. She had as a guest voice, and that leads me into season 2. I just found out some cool stuff that's coming in early 2021, which isn't too far away. And there's going to be tons of like, I guess everybody's into it now, man. Everybody wants to be a voice in the show or in the show. So season 2 is going to have Marilyn Manson as an actor,
No way.
Barbara Crampton, as you know, Allie Larder, C. Thomas Howell, Ted Raimi, Breckin Meyer, and actually many more. So that's all I really know. But other than that, before we get to the Depravity Corner, I just wanted to show you cats. I don't get very many doll babies, but when I do, they got to be very special. And now that we're going to have a place around, I probably will be getting more. But I wanted to show you how cool this was, man. I got the Joe Bob doll baby from Fright Rags. Super cool. Comes with his Lone Star, driving speakers. And yeah, super cool. So if you can, it's on the second print already. Give old Joe Bob an order. Hopefully they make a Darcy and they throw Ernie in there or something. But I thought it was cool and I wanted to show you guys. They're still available, but there's not many left. So you might want to get on that while you're at it. Other than that, it's time for everybody's favorite part of the show. You know her. You love her. It's time for Jack Skellington's Depravity Corner.
All right. We all love Jack Skellington's Depravity Corner. What is funny is you were chatting away and I didn't want to interrupt you, but I realized that we actually have a third co-host here. Bella, say hello.
Oh, I didn't realize that either.
Yeah, we had a third co-host. I don't know if you can see her on camera, but she is right next to me. So this whole time you're probably laughing maybe at the cat here sitting next to me. But this is Bella. She's fat and old. She's going to help me. You going to help me do the Depravity Corner?
Meow.
Yeah, she says yeah. Okay, cool. So what we have today... we have a story out of Irving, Texas. And, well, let's see here. We have a family. Well, first, let me start it this way. We had a man who posted to Facebook the other day, or, well, it was October 20th to be exact. And what he posted was, of course, you know, very ominous. And it just merely said, "I'm sorry." And that was it. And so the next thing you know, all these people are like, "What's going on? What are you doing? Why are you sorry? What's going on? How are you doing?" And this was in the morning. This was like probably 10, I would imagine it had to have been 10 or 9 or 10 in the morning. And, so what happened next is at 11:15, 911 received a call from a woman talking in apparent code and very quietly as to not be heard, talking on the phone and pretending that 911 was her brother, I guess in an effort to get some sort of help to their location because her husband, for whatever reason, went off the rails and I guess was threatening to kill her and her daughter. They'd been married for 8 years. He had never had any prior history of, as far as we know, domestic violence. Supposedly, big family man, loved his wife, loved his daughter or stepdaughter, and all of a sudden they're gone. So he shot and killed them. And, James Oliveras, Tuesday morning, shot and killed his wife, Brandy, and her 18-year-old daughter, Cicely. I think that's her name, Cicely. She had just graduated high school last year, had her whole life ahead of her, very much, ready to go on with life, and now they're gone. So, 911 doing their job. I mean, they couldn't really get too much information out of the person on the phone, but they got enough to know the location, and they did, in fact, get officers to the house, which was great. Mr. Oliveras was still very much alive, and he demanded to speak to a hostage negotiator. I guess, they didn't know what was going on inside the house, so they assumed that he had hostages. So they were, in fact, talking to him and trying to work out a deal or something, however they handle hostage situations. And I don't know how much time had gone by. It doesn't sound like it was very much time. And the next thing you know, they hear a gunshot. One single gunshot went off, and it looks like Mr. Oliveris took the, the chicken coward's way out and killed himself. So the police had to, I guess, detonate some sort of bomb to get the front door open of this house. When they went in, they found in the master bedroom the bodies of Brandy, her daughter Cicely, and Mr. Oliveris. And here's the worst part for me: the 2 family dogs. He fucking murdered the dogs. What the hell? Why? I guess maybe he didn't want them to eat his body. Is that what it was? Why would you do that?
Was it Gerald's game or something?
Right. Why do you do that? So it's very, very awful. Why do you do that? And then he clearly thought it out, or he knew it was happening, because he posted "I'm sorry" on Facebook. So of course, and it's public. You can go on his page and see it. And of course,
oh, that makes it better.
I know, right? All the people, initially you could tell it was just the friends are like, "What's going on? Tell me everything's okay. What's going on? What are you sorry for? Blah, 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 blah." And then, of course, once the news breaks, the public goes and searches it, and they're all like on there going, "Blah, blah, blah, you're an asshole, blah, blah, blah." And, the people who know them, of course, are like, this was so not like them. They were very close with their family. However,
they always seemed like such a nice
yeah,
guy.
Exactly. Well, here's the thing, though. This is funny. Someone pointed this out, and I thought it was very interesting, and I'm going to share a screenshot here. He shared a picture of his stepdaughter. She just graduated this year, in front of a sign that said, "Congratulations, class of 2020," whatever. She's in extremely short shorts, and the comment he made was a little disturbing, and people were taking notice of that, and it was interesting. I mean, it's just not a comment that one would make of a daughter, an 18-year-old daughter. What did he say?
Unless you're Donald Trump, of course.
It says, "Just damn."
Ew.
Just damn. Now, who posted that?
That was Donald Trump, probably.
Yeah. Well, funny you should bring up Donald Trump. I guess if there's a bright light to this sad story, this man was, and his whole family was, because I'm sure he brainwashed them, extremely Donald Trump supporters. In fact, in the one picture of the mom and daughter, and it appears to be in the daughter's room, there's a Trump sticker on her, vanity. Okay? And so let's hope that they didn't vote yet by mail-in ballot.
That would be the only good thing to come out of this.
3 less Trump supporters. So I guess if there's something good that came out of it, that's it. But
that would be it.
Other than that, I mean, it's just horrible. Absolutely horrible.
He's like,
for no reason.
After his daughter, why should I not?
Right. But why just not kill yourself? If you feel that, if you're that miserable, and I mean, did he plan on killing himself in the process? I don't know.
Probably.
Why would he wait until the police got there, though? I guess he just wanted some extra drama.
It's hard to say how these wackos think.
I know, but it's just so crazy. And the funny thing is, I mean, they're Hispanic. Oliveris, he's very Hispanic. He served in the military. I mean, you think that, that you're supporting the one thing that's dead set against you?
Yeah, that's so weird.
It makes no sense to me at all. So, I don't know. Maybe he was getting some shit from his other Hispanic community, and
rightfully so.
Kind of lost his shit, maybe? I don't know.
That's crazy.
But very, very strange, very sad. Very sad for the young lady anyway. I mean, they didn't deserve that. I mean, that's just, but...
why do they always bring other people that does not into their problems?
Yeah.
Like, if you want to do that shit, what did the dog do other than lick its balls and fucking exist,
Exactly.
I was like, oh, you need to die too, Rover. Or
right.
What goes through your head?
Right. I know, that's terrible. I mean, it's just...
I know you're a fucking Biden supporter, dog.
Right.
You're fucking dead meat.
That's it. The dog, he was riding with Biden, that dog. That's what it was.
He's like, you're
he said, roof, Biden.
You're not on the Trump train. You fuckers are dead.
Yeah, so, I don't know. There's no motive been released. I mean, there's no history there. Nobody really knows. But if there's any like super weird update, I'll let you know. But yeah, I mean, hey, I guess there's no taxpayer dollars to, put them in jail, so that's, I guess, another good thing. But just, awful. Can't even explain it. And, I'll give the ladies a rest in peace because, they didn't deserve it, but he can rot in hell. So there you go.
What a terrible. Well,
Yeah.
You definitely depravity yourself this week. So.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, if that's it, you did bring up a good segue for me though, because I have a super awesome guest this week, Cats. I have a great interview, but I want to preface it with there's never been a more important time now to get your ass out there and vote. The future of our country is at stake, and that's kind of a little bit about what I'm going to be touching on in my interview. And my guest this week is Austen Gray. He is the lead singer of a ska punk band called Joker's Republic. They just now released a video to get you out there to vote, to hopefully get you motivated. It's called Trump Card, and if you look closely, there might be a little cameo from yours truly. So that'll be afterwards. We're going to premiere that video, but up next, we're going to talk to the man, the myth, the legend, Austen Gray, Cat. So tune in for that, and don't forget to tune in for the premiere of Trump Card video from Joker's Republic right after this interview. So other than that, we're good. I'm out of here, Cat. So
we're out.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
Vote.
Hey now, Cats, we're back again this week on the Balls from Ellwood show, and with me I have a very special guest. You may know him as the lead singer of the Joker's Republic. I personally actually stumbled upon these cats a while back. I think they're probably one of the best ska punk bands I've heard in a long time. So it is quite an honor to have them with me. So thank you very much, sir. How you doing there, Austen?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much. What an introduction. Wow.
Oh, dude, I gotta say, I'm glad. I almost noticed there's like a resurgence of like ska punk a little bit. It's because like it kind of, to me, kind of like I've been listening to the same shit over and over again, and like I'm finally starting to discover some new bands, much like yourself and some other people, and it's kind of nice to kind of discover some new stuff here. So I don't know how you feel about that, but
I think there's definitely a resurgence of ska coming back. I think Dickie Barrett from the Boss Tones said it best, is that when times are tough and things start getting low for a lot of people, ska seems to find its way back in because it's just uplifting music. Even if the lyrics are depressing or angry, just the general vibe is always much, much, much more uplifting. And I think with the resurgence that we're seeing now, we're seeing people start to take it seriously. Not that people didn't in the past with bands like Hepcat or the Pie Tasters or stuff like that, but you see bands like We Are the Union and Kill Lincoln, Joker's Republic. We try to take the lyrical content a lot more seriously, especially, and I think that resonates with a lot of people coming off of pop punk in the early 2000s.
It really does, man. That's actually one of the strongest points I think I like about you guys. Your lyrics are, I mean, ska music always has been fun and, very danceable when you have a good time. But I mean, there's no reason why you can't have like substantial and like meaningful lyrics. And like, I really connect with those. So I thank you, sir. But
thank you.
I wanted to ask you, was you into music growing up, or is just something you stumbled across like when you got older?
So when I was super young, I wanted to be a skater because of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. So
you hear the good news today?
Yeah. By Vicarious Visions, it's being handled by a developer who's done good Tony Hawk games in the past. I'm very excited.
And the re-release of 1 and 2 here in August. I'm pretty excited about that. So,
yeah.
Not getting off topic here. When you wanted to be a skater growing up.
I wanted to be a skater. I actually still have a couple of my first boards lying around somewhere, but I was very big into Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and that definitely shaped my taste in music from a young age. Around the age of 9, I discovered I could sing half decently. I don't exactly remember how that happened, but my mom being a singer, it kind of runs in the family. And American Idiot dropped very soon around that time, maybe a couple years before, and that was the album and the song that made me want to start playing guitar. So I found my way into it. And it wasn't really until I was 10 or 11 that I realized, hey, I have some kind of like talent here. But it all kind of comes from that early kind of skateboarding infused culture that was in my life from such a young age, with the emphasis on ska and punk.
You had mentioned you came from a musical family, so they were supportive of you going into music?
Oh, well, yeah, for the most part. They're very, 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 very supportive of what I'm doing now. My parents are at every show, helping
No,
out as
that's
much as they
awesome, man. I
can.
love hearing
Yeah.
that.
There was a little bit of discussion. I'm not going to say argument, but discussion when I said that I wasn't going to college because I wanted to pursue the ska band. But seeing what happens when we went out there, and my parents seeing how much this really means to me, it's the only thing I really want out of my life is to be in a ska band. They decided to let me have my way, basically, and try to support me as much as they possibly can, which I'm eternally grateful for.
Oh, I love hearing that shit, man. It's so awesome. When can you think of one definitive moment where you fell in love with the ska genre, like that song you heard, or that moment, and you just, is there one that stands out in your mind? Because I asked everybody has one. I have one.
Yep.
What's yours?
I was 3 years old, moving from Staten Island, New York to Jersey, and I had a mix CD that my dad made me of all the music I was listening to at the time. It was a mix of like 80s to modern. I think it was 2001, 2002 at the time, but there was ska in there because I loved the ska stuff. I credit it to 3 songs on that CD, which was Sell Out by Real Big Fish, and I think that's the biggest one for sure. It's the one that years later I had to kind of rediscover ska. I'll explain that in a minute if you want, but there was a period of time when I was learning guitar where I really wasn't listening to so much of it. I was listening to like metal and shreddy stuff because that's how I got good at guitar. But I rediscovered ska, and Sell Out was the one song that was always in the back of my head from that young age, being like da 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 da. Sell Out, the Save Various version of Come On Eileen, and Something Better by the Pie Tasters.
Nice.
Those are the 3 songs I credit with getting me into ska, but I would say the big one is definitely Sell Out.
Now, who was your biggest influences musically whenever you went to record an album?
So I would say the biggest ones that you hear in the Joker's sound, at least from my contributions to it, would be Green Day. As I said, without American Idiot, I wouldn't have been playing guitar, and I learned to sing by listening to Billy Joe. You can hear that a lot in some of the vowel sounds that I make when I sing. Real Big Fish is definitely the second biggest, just for when I go for that kind of ska sound. I try to keep it with that kind of vibe for the most part, in terms of exactly how I'm going about it. Maybe not so much with like the comedic aspect. I leave that to the people who are actually funny. But with the musical aspects, I definitely try to channel that. And Streetlight Manifesto, I would say, is the third biggest.
You definitely got good influences for sure. Can you tell me how the band came to fruition? How did they all come together?
So the original lineup in 2015 started out of School of Rock Montclair with a bunch of the kids that I was going there with at the time. But for one reason or another, either they moved on to other projects, they went to school, things weren't solid. But while I was there, I met an instructor, Billy, who is the bass player on Falling Behind. And he was, at the time, the greatest bass player I've ever seen, and still one of the greatest bass players that I know. And he had a stage presence, and he had the vibe and everything, and I was a little bit intimidated by that. But eventually I got some, as I was working on the first Joker's EP, I got in contact with him, and we started playing shows together. And his best friend is Patrick, who is the drummer on Falling Behind. And the 3 of us eventually wound up getting together and playing stuff, and it was just a really, really good fit.
Does being in a band, have you noticed thus far, put any kind of strain on your relationships, whether with family or friends or loved ones?
I feel like it does, but I feel like that's just me being like super self-depreciating and like self-conscious. Like I've had arguments with other friends in other bands, like really, really close friends who are in their own projects about how to go about the whole music thing. Um, I remember distinctly one of the arguments I got in that did actually affect a relationship of mine was DIY versus clubs. Whether or not me at the time paying out of pocket for musicians to come play on stage with me and not being able to afford doing DIY shows.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to make every show count and making connections with the clubs. And eventually it's like, well, I don't need to play DIY spaces versus the idea that, yeah, you should play DIY spaces because there's this real scene going on there and there's a following and, you know, you should definitely take advantage of that while you can. And, you know, that's probably the only time I can think of that being in a band has affected any relationships of mine was arguing about how to do it right when really there's no one right answer.
If you could put together a dream band, like almost like a dream, like a project where you pick out all the different players that you would play with, like who would you pick?
An all-star lineup?
Yes, absolutely.
That's actually a good question. I would probably pick Chris Thatcher from Streetlight on drums just because he's a super nice dude. He's an animal. I would pick Fat Mike to play bass because that brings that kind of raw punk rock energy and attitude. It's just with the style of his bass too. He's a very talented bass player. He can handle pretty much anything I could throw at him.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably pick Aaron Barrett from Real Big Fish to play guitar because the dude can shred, and I think he's a super underrated guitar player.
I agree.
And vocally, I mean, between Aaron and Mike, there's enough vocal talent to go around there. But if I had to pick a vocalist for the band, I'd pick Amy Interrupter just because perfection on stage as a front woman, like just knowing the crowd, knowing who to interact with, and just being a presence on stage. Amy Interrupter is amazing to watch every time. So that would probably be my all-star ska lineup.
That's a great answer, man. Let me ask you this. What does people regularly do that annoys you in society? Like people that regularly just pisses you off. Like you're like,
I see a lot of shit being in the grocery store right now, especially during the pandemic we're facing. That's really annoying. But I think the biggest one is just immediately assuming that a situation has to be a conflict. Like if there's a problem and it can be resolved without having to fight about it, you know, I think people immediately jump to the idea that conflict and fighting has to be the same thing, and it leads to a lot of problems, at least that I've seen. And conflict isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's when you take that and blow it out of proportion that it becomes a bad thing.
I couldn't agree more. I think more or less people just don't take the time to listen enough to each other, and it just escalates quickly to conflict. What if people would just kind of take time to listen to each other's side, maybe, voice their opinion and work things out like you're saying, it would be a lot better. But we're living in a time, man. I don't know what to say, but let me ask you this. What would you be doing if you decided that you weren't going to be a musician?
If I wasn't going to be in music, I like to think that I'm somewhat entertaining as a person. This answer has gone under a couple of different revisions, but I think knowing what I know about myself right now and the things that I'm into, I think that I would probably be trying to pursue that famed YouTube career that everyone says is so easy to do, which is not easy at all. But I've been
at it for 3 years, man. It's really not easy.
Yeah. I'd like to think that I watch enough of that because all I watch right now is YouTube and Let's Players and streamers. So I'd like to think I've absorbed enough of that to be able to create something like that. Or some kind of a podcasting radio kind of thing. But I really, honestly, the only thing I really want out of life is to be in a ska band. Like, if I can do all that stuff on its own and not have to put super focused energy into it because it's not what I'm looking to do forever, but it's a nice side project, cool. I'd be more than happy to do it. But my heart and my voice is in ska punk.
Awesome, man. Thus far, what was your best and worst experience playing a show?
Best experience was definitely Gilman Street on this last tour that we just did. We just came back from the Ska Parade 30th anniversary tour, which was our first West Coast run. And we were the new guys, and we were surrounded by some amazing talent. And this was all being hosted by Tazy Phillips and Junior Ska Boss, who have been around in the scene forever. But the third show of the tour was 924 Gilman. And we roll up to the place, and Curtis from a band called Monkey, who, by the way, absolutely check out Monkey. They're amazing. Curtis comes up to me and goes, "This is your first time playing?" I said, "Dude, it's my first time seeing the building. Like, we don't have CBGBs anymore. This is a dream come true to me." He goes, "You're going to walk in there, and for the first 15 minutes, you're going to be like, wow, this place is amazing. Look at all the history and, like, all this." And then 15 minutes later, you'll be like, "This place is a shithole." That moment never came. The whole time I was just, like, starstruck, just like, oh my God, all this history, and you can see all this shit. And we played and we did really well. And I just remember almost tearing up because I was like, wow, we played Gilman Street for the first time as part of a decent tour package, and they liked us enough to invite us back.
Nice.
Or the promoter for Gilman Ska Night said, "Yeah, the next time you guys are in the area, just give me a call. We'll get you back in here." And that moment to me was just like, we're on to something here. Like, we've done some crazy shows before, but that show with just the kids in the room, there were kids in this room that will be more punk than I will ever be in my entire life. And everybody just digging it and being like, "Yeah, no, you guys were great." And that all just comes together into a perfect storm of like, wow, we're actually onto something. And I think the worst experience, that's actually kind of a tricky one. The worst experience you ever had playing a show. Let's see. That's a hard one because I usually don't think about the bad times a lot because every time I get out on stage, I try to have fun with it and try to enjoy it. Even to me, an empty room would be an opportunity, and we still have just as much fun with that when there's nobody there because we're playing to the camera at that point, which is a whole different kind of show, but it's still fun. But I would say personally, the worst experience for me playing a show would have probably been when we were in Portland on this same tour. And there were a couple people there who were really digging us and having fun and enjoying what we got going on. And that was cool. But it seemed like a lot of them were just kind of there independently of the show. And it seemed like they were either there for their one band or they were there just because it was a Saturday in Portland. And I found it very difficult to connect with that crowd. So while we had a lot of fun playing the show and we like Portland, obviously, it's just that one show. I remember us being in the car being like, what are we doing wrong? Like, what do we do differently? Why is X thing not working right? I would probably say that's one of the lowers, but even that still was a lot of fun for us. We loved doing it. So it's hard for me to kind of pick a worst moment.
What's the best gift anybody's ever given you?
The best gift anybody's ever given me?
Yes.
I've got a couple good ones. Obviously, with the parents being super supportive, they've gotten me some cool stuff over the times. I actually have here one of the 2 Death Clock guitars they've gotten me over the years that I play and record with. These are the Brendan Small signatures, which I don't really like them for metal, but they're fantastic for ska punk.
Nice, man.
So having those is just super cool. He's one of my favorite guitarists, and having that sound in my arsenal is cool from a recording aspect, just because it covers a lot of bases. If we're talking more on a personal level, my best friends for my 21st birthday, I would say the gift was the whole party that they threw, where I walked up into this garage loft kind of thing, and I knew there was a party going on, but I didn't know exactly what they had in mind. And I walk in, and they have, again, my 21st birthday, they have a drink menu on black and white checkered paper, and all the drinks are ska puns, and I'm just like, this is amazing. And we just hung out playing video games and just kind of being there, and it was like super meaningful to me, and it took everything I had to not cry. One of my best friends actually drew me. I have that somewhere. I think I never got a chance to frame it, so I put it away in one of my dad's art books. He's also a designer artist, so he's got like the proper storage for stuff like that. And that was the first thing I saw besides the drink menu when I walked in there, and it was just super cool.
Awesome, man. What can you tell me? What do you feel people do too much of these days?
In what context? Just in general, or
yes,
what people do too much of? Panic.
Ooh,
I think presently panic with the world we live in. I understand that there are things to be scared of and there are things to be worried about, and that's totally fine, but there's a line between worry and panic that should definitely be drawn, because when panic happens, it doesn't really help anybody. It doesn't help you, it doesn't help me, it doesn't help the people trying to fix the problem. It just kind of creates a distraction. If we aren't talking about present times, I think that the thing that really bugs me the most is just people being so divisive on things and being like, it's one way or the other. We write about this in Falling Behind in the song Politics Belong in Punk Rock, and you know, just because somebody has a bad opinion or a bad judgment call doesn't mean they're a bad person. And I hate seeing people just end lifelong friendships and end these meaningful things to them just because they don't agree on something, and or they think that, you know, X issue has to be one way or the other, and if you're not on my side, you're on their side, and it's never that simple. So I think divisiveness and panic are the big two things that I think people do too much of.
I agree, man. I don't think we have ever lived in a more divisive time, and I honestly feel a lot of it's kind of like smoke and mirrors to bigger problems. You know, like they keep us fighting, and then like other things kind of slip into the back door. But
I don't claim to know about that personally. It might be, it might not be. I don't know. I'm not going to pass judgment on that, but I think just on a personal level, from one person to another, there's a lot more nuance to situations than a lot of people think, and I think that it's important a lot of the time.
Absolutely. What's the best piece of advice that you feel anybody's ever given you?
My joke answer would be don't fangirl. A few times I've had the chance to meet some very, very cool people, and
I've did it myself, man. Everybody.
Yeah. But I think my serious answer would be persistence. You know, just don't quit. Just keep going. Keep doing what you're doing, because one of the dudes from On Holiday told me that overnight success takes 8 years. And I think the idea of just continuing to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, even when it seems like adversity is going to put you down, like that's what separates people who, in my opinion, make it in this industry and people who fade into obscurity.
What inspires you most to write your music?
So most of the Joker stuff is very personal. It's stuff that either happened to me or happened around me. In the case of Americant, for example, was at a time when somebody in my family just got laid off. So, I started thinking about the struggles that some people might be facing, the struggles that I might have to be facing at that moment. And that's kind of what turned into the more politically minded song there. In other cases, like Falling Behind, I think it's right there in the lyrics. It's just the idea of you gotta say something, but you don't know what you're gonna say, so you just have to get it out there, even if it's redundant or you're recycling lyrics and stuff from your old songs and stuff like that, and you just got to kind of say something. I like to think that it's all at face value with the experiences, but people find these deeper meanings that I don't even see when I write them, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, that is
and
awesome.
Yeah, and I think that's cool that some people have their very personal meanings of the songs, and they come up with some stuff that I never even saw when I put it down. But face value, on paper, I would say that most of the material kind of tells the story for itself. It's all stuff that has happened to me. There's no real metaphor. There is metaphor, but there's no we're not using an allegory or any kind of literary device. It's just very bare bones. This is the story that I want to tell the way I'm planning on telling it.
What's something about you that your fans may find surprising?
About me specifically?
Yes.
Something about me that my fans would find surprising. See, that's an interesting question, because I don't know exactly what people do or don't know about me. I'm not claiming I'm a celebrity, everyone knows everything. It's I'm the guy at shows for the most part where my existence at the show is set up, play the show, skank in the pit, go home. I have no problem talking to people and chatting, but I'm usually not the person to start the conversation, because my mind is usually in a million other places between, okay, I'm going to adjust my guitar tone because the room's got some echo in it, or when I come and walk off the stage during Wolves, I'm going to go over to that bar, not this one, and I'm going to, I'm all over the place. 9 times out of 10 in Jersey, I'm running the show. So it's okay, so I have 45 minutes to make this happen. We got to be out of here by this time, and then switch over in the next 15 minutes. And the first band's late. They're supposed to be backlining the drum kit. What the hell do we do? So I think the big thing is that I appear very standoffish and very much like I'm there for one reason and one reason only. And that is true. But when it comes down to it, the reason why is because I'm just all over the place trying to figure out what I'm trying to do and how it's going to happen. So I think that's probably the biggest one, is that people think that I'm very unapproachable in some instances, and I try not to be, but sometimes it's just very hard to balance that.
Well, hearing your explanation, I mean, people know that it's not the case. I mean, that's a good answer. Tell me, what's one thing you can't live without, other than music?
Besides music?
Yes.
I'd say family.
Oh, that's a good answer.
I think family, because everything else is very material, but at the end of the day, you only really have one family. And I'm privileged in my life to have a family that's supportive of what I'm doing, and extended family as well. So I think without that, I'd be in a very different place than I am right now. And when I think about the things, I could definitely live without video games. I could definitely live without skateboarding culture in my life. I'd still be alive. I'd just be a different person. But without family, I don't think I'd be anywhere close to where I am right now.
I wish more people felt the way you do, man. Tell me this is a little goofy, but what's the craziest thing you've ever done on a dare?
Oh, we got footage of this. Okay.
Footage? All right.
It's footage of this. This is all over the Joker's everything when I did it. And it's probably in the tour vlog for Albuquerque. We were playing in New Mexico, setting up Monkey's gear because when we went on tour, Monkey backlined for most of the shows for us. So did the other bands at some other points too, but Monkey was the one who was like, yeah, guys, come out. We'll give you stuff. Just focus on getting out here safe. So Monkey's rolling in and we're setting up, and the place is called Launchpad, and it's a cool little spot. It's got like an arcade upstairs, and you can see over the railing to the bands. Albuquerque was interesting, but that's a story for another time. But we walk in there and we're like, hey, this is like a Tuesday or a Monday night, right? And I'm pretty sure the Toasters played here yesterday or are going to play here within the next couple days. So we're not expecting much from the show already. And then Curtis walks in with a bag of ghost pepper tortilla chips.
Oh.
I cannot handle regular jalapeno. I'm so bad with spicy food. It's not even funny.
Oh.
I can't, like, a little bit of a kick is fine, but like spicy food, I can't do. So he comes in with those. I was like, nope, no thank you. And Ska Boss goes, what, chicken? I'm sure he used cooler words than that, but that's the gist of it. He's like, all right, fine. We're going first tonight. After the set, I'll have one. And now our merch guy, Derek from the Joker's camp, is like, oh, one, fine. I was like, all right, motherfucker. You're in the guitar solo on the last song. Okay. So I don't tell the other guys in the band. I go up to them and I go, hey, close on Wolves tonight. I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing because I want to get a genuine reaction from you guys. But we need to close on Wolves tonight. He goes, oh, God, don't hurt yourself. So no, it'll be fine. It'll be funny. Right? So I get up on stage and I start introing the last song. And I said, over by our merch table is a bag of ghost pepper chips. And Billy off mic, you can hear him in the footage. He goes, oh, Jesus Christ. So we play the song and it gets over the guitar solo, and I'm looking for Curtis because he was supposed to be the one that's helping me do this, and Curtis is nowhere to be found. But one of the dudes from Hans Gruber and the Diehards is standing there. So Derek hands him the bag and says, chip. Kurt didn't understand what was happening, so he just kept feeding me chips. Like, it was 7 or 8 of them. And I'm doing it, and the first one missed. The second one I got it, it was like, oh, this was immediately a mistake. And he goes, one more, come on, you can do it. I'm like, he's so encouraging. So I get up on stage, we finish the song, I'm on the floor. Like I finished the song coughing on my back. Because like I can't do it. I was out of commission for like 2 or 3 hours after that, just holding my stomach, being like, why the hell did I do this? Oh, it was really funny. It was stupid, but it was funny. And there was no milk or ice cream anywhere nearby. Somebody got me an Irish car bomb. I was like, this would be great if I wasn't dying right now.
Well, that actually kind of inadvertently leads me to my next question. Do you have a good shit your pants story?
I don't have any of those yet.
Well, that's good, because I think that could happen for sure.
I mean, get me a camera and a reason to do it. But it's very anybody who was on that tour that is, if it's genuinely something that somebody would find entertaining and there's a camera on me, I'm a lot more willing to try stupid shit. But no, as of right now, I don't have a good shit your pants story.
Well, I got a couple more for you, man. So if anyone had a biopic on Joker's Republic, who would you want to play you?
Who would I want to play? Oh, that's a good question. That's actually a really good. I don't think I've ever thought of that. I would want it to be somebody who is well enough versed on ska to understand the source material.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also, I wouldn't sacrifice a good actor because they don't. You can learn the history. You don't have to necessarily be just ingrained with it. You could teach somebody that. So I would want it to be somebody who understands
the genre,
this genre in the history of the music, or punk or reggae or something like that. Somebody who understands where it's coming from. I don't have a specific answer for an actor, but I think I need to start thinking about that.
Oh man, hey, what's something that you tried but you'd never try again, and you can't use the same the chip story?
So, something that I tried that I'd never try again. Skater as a kid, when I was semi-decent at skateboarding. I really wanted to be a vert skater, meaning like Tony Hawk or Bob Burnquist, one of those dudes that goes off of the massive half pipes and mega ramps and stuff like that. So when I was 9, I decided I'd been skating the mini ramp, like the small half pipe, for a while in Hoboken, and there was a full half pipe. And I decided I was going to try to drop in on it. So I get up to the top, and I'm set up. My parents are standing down, and they're like, "You can do this, go." They're being, again, super supportive. And I missed, and I just went right into the middle of the pipe and split my chin open. Could have been a lot worse. So while I do still skate a little bit, I don't think I'd ever try vert skating again. I just have too many other things going on right now. If I fracture my wrist on a handrail, that's one thing. But if I break my entire arm on a vert ramp, that's a whole other thing.
What's one thing you'd stockpile if you found out today that they were no longer making?
Ooh, probably. It's going to be a really kind of lame answer, but probably my strings and picks. Because I have very, very, very specific strings and specific picks that I use that are a little bit heavier gauge, and they have a special coating on them, and the picks are a special shape. I started using them because of Aaron Barrett. After my first ska show, I wound up with one of his picks, and the shape intrigued me because it's like sharper than a normal pick, and it's really hard to find them now as it is. So if they were going to stop making them, I'd probably order like the rest of the stock just so I know I'm good. It's a lame answer, I know, but realistically, that's probably what it would be.
No, that's actually not, man. Like from a fan's perspective, I find that stuff interesting as hell. But I got one more question for you, man. Do you have any message of hope for people in this crazy time?
Yes. Let me think about how I want to phrase it first. We as a race have seen some crazy stuff happen between the Great Depression and the Black Plague, if you want to go even farther back than that. I know it's a big jump between the two, but just to put in perspective human accomplishment here, we've seen some crazy shit happen, and we're still here. So keep your heads up and don't be stupid and try to rush things, because that's how it's going to be worse. When you try to do something that you're not prepared for. We got here because we weren't prepared for this. We're not prepared to open it back up. So calm down, and we will get through this together.
It's very profound, man. I that's great advice. I love that answer. But lastly, I'd like you to tell my audience where we can keep up with Joker's Republic and what's going to be in the future here.
So in the future, we owe our Kickstarter backers from the tour an 80s cover. We have a song in mind. We've been working on an arrangement, but when we were going to go record it, pandemic happened. And there's a bunch of other outlets right now that are doing home recordings. That's awesome. I don't think we're totally set up. I think one of us is set up for it, but I'm not. I know that for sure. So first thing that's going to happen when Jokers gets back in the studio is we're going to put out that cover that we owe everybody. After that, we have new music in the works. I definitely want to continue touring and hitting different areas that we haven't hit yet. I know Texas is on the map right now. I always wanted to hit Detroit, Chicago, Pittsburgh. Yep. We actually invited to Pittsburgh not that long ago. Unfortunately, stuff happened, but we want to keep touring. We have new music to put out, and hopefully we'll be able to share that with you guys soon. And you can follow us at Jokers Republic on pretty much everything.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's a pleasure to have you as a guest because I really love you guys and I believe in your music and I want people to see it and hear it. So thank you for the opportunity, Austin. Austen Gray, Joker's Republic. Thank you so much for being with me, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm sorry I don't know that much about horror movies.
No. It's okay. I've met so many great people, such as yourself and so many others. Developed so many great friendships through our love of music and our love of the passions that we are, in fact, into. That was the whole reason I've ever wanted to even do it. I could care less about money. I could care less about how many people watch, as long as the right people are watching. So, I mean,
and that's what it's about.
It was a no-brainer to me to have you on, dude. I really love you guys. I know you're going to be fucking humongous. So, I mean, I'm going to look back this one day and be like, man, I can't believe I fucking interviewed that cat. You know what I mean? So,
man, thank you. I don't know about that, but I'm glad that you dig what we're doing. I have listened to your show. I dig what you're doing for sure. So,
thank you, man. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. I really do.
Keep the vision, man, and keep doing what you're doing because it definitely resonates with the right people.
You too, brother. Thanks. That's the best thing. You just made my day. So, peace and love. Keep doing what you do.
Peace out.
Stay in touch, man. Take care.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Austen Gray. I'm the frontman of New Jersey ska punk band Joker's Republic, and we just put out a video for our song Trump Card. Little known fact about that song, I actually wrote it in early 2016 before the election happened, but I didn't have enough time to record it for our first EP. So I did an acoustic version and labeled it the bonus song on the physical version of Antisocial Media, knowing that I was going to bring it back for the next album, a tradition that we still keep to this day. Unfortunately, though, that song is still very much relevant in 2020, and the band and I decided to come together and put a video out into the world with some help from some awesome people who took time out of their day to send in footage for us to use to get the message out that you need to vote in this election. Punk rock has always been a force for change. It's always been a political movement. And we are not comfortable being silent and complacent with everything this administration has done. So please, if you haven't already mailed in a ballot, go out to the polls and vote. Do not let your voice be silent because a future of our country may depend on it. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce the Balls from Ellwood show and the Trump Card video.
Wall in my narcissistic mind. I'm gonna force them out cause they are not my kind. I'm not a politician, I say it like it is. The system's broken and it's rigged on the side with. I'm playing the Trump card to shake things up. They like to call us them city folk, the liberal elite. But now I kinda wish I was a deadbeat. Raised up on ignorance and born in the belly of the beast. Shouting the loudest to drown out sanity. The country's fading fast, so let's make it great again. But I will never tell to call us them city folk, the liberal elite. But now I kinda wish I was a deadbeat, raised up by ignorance and born in the belly of the beast, shouting the loudest to drown out sanity. To drown out sanity. I wanna shout the loudest to drown out sanity.
No Trump. No KKK. No fascist USA.
What was the point of bands like the Damned, the DKs, and the Clash when mainstream radio is run by supergroups? Punk rock's a force for change, it's dangerous, it always was and should be. How soon we all forget where the movement started from. Politics belong in punk rock. Politics are the foundations of punk rock. Just because we don't agree doesn't have to mean we can't be friends. That's the point. We have our own opinions. Punk rock should make you think. I'm sure you notice crazy people on both sides. Social justice is important, but let's not lose our fucking minds. And calling people snowflakes makes you look like you're a jerk. Holy shit, nobody ever shuts up. They drive us all berserk. But we need an open forum of discussion. We need a place where everyone is free to speak their minds. We lose sight of the truth when we silence those who disagree. Freedom of speech only works if you are truly free. Politics belong in punk rock. Politics are the foundations of punk rock. Just because we don't agree doesn't have to mean we can't be friends. That's the point. We have our own opinions. Punk rock should make you think. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it